Hi guys, welcome to another lecture within the critical approaches to literature. Just for a quick recap, we are talking about the Platonic dilemma, and within Platonic dilemma, we're talking about the major critical questions. We've already spoken about um, how to like what way to develop these questions, and now we're going to be delving into uh, within the category of how to develop these questions, the role of a critique. Now, a critique, these can overlap, but a critique for any piece of work, as a student, as a reader, in any capacity, uh, the activity may be ontological, functional, normative, descriptive, psychological, or appreciative. Each of these activities has its own place and its own usefulness, and the many questions involved can be and have been asked in different ways. All of these roles, the five that I've mentioned, can also overlap. In this lecture, we're going to be talking about functional criticism. Okay? Now, functional criticism, functional, the word means fulfilling a specific purpose, activity, or task, right? Or something that's practical or useful. Now, even with the word functional, or when you talk about functional criticism, there are different ways to go about it. One would be that a critique is trying to evaluate uh, the piece of work, or the piece of work in terms of how it's affecting social practices, as an institution or a cultural object, what is the purpose it is serving, um, or the function it is performing, um, and it analyzes, and it's supposed to analyze both things, right? The unintended and the intended functions, rather than just the stated purpose. For example, in my previous lecture, when I mentioned when I mentioned 6 young men. Now, with 6 young men, you need to, in terms of its functional criticism or whatever, or in terms of being able to understand it as a critique, or somebody who's trying to read that, approach that, explain that, whatever. I said that one reason can be that 6 Young Men was written by Hughes because he felt that his wife had to suffer the aftermath of war, being a witness of war, and that's why he wrote 6 Young Men to help people understand the futility of war. Which would perhaps be its intended purpose. An unintended purpose can also be that don't send your children into the army because war is futile, and the subject of war are always people or human lives. And so, as somebody who's trying to approach that piece of work critically, or evaluate that piece of work as an institution or as a cultural object. I need to evaluate with Platonic relationship to the work, what is the specific purpose or the task that this piece of work is fulfilling. Now, when you talk about my criticism, though, because then all the criticism that as a student or as a critique or anybody, even as a reader, that I might do on that piece of work is also obviously going to be divided into either one of these 5 categories. So here I'd give the example of 2 criticisms on The Namesake by Jhampalari. Okay. Now, this one criticism in The Observer said, it's gracious, neither uniquely Asian nor uniquely American. Now that kind of is functional criticism, right? From both aspects. From the critiques aspect also, because a novel that talks about identity crisis, the criticism is about its functionality, that it's neither uniquely Asian nor uniquely American. And it is also talking about, and also from a critique's perspective, right? It's criticizing the functionality of that novel, the thing about identity crisis. Another criticism that can come under the same domain but sort of overlaps with the appreciative form of criticism is, for example, Daily Mail said impeccably written. Now obviously whenever any writer writes a novel and then tries to publish it or whatever, they want to make sure it's impeccably written. So that way, despite that, it can also come under the category of appreciative criticism, that is also functional criticism. And the critique or the person trying to approach The Namesake from Daily Mail is also playing the role of a functional critique, because or in his approach actually he's being functional, that impeccably written, it's a good read it. I hope that I'm able to explain what the role of a functional critique, or what does functional criticism means in this lecture. And I have divided these lectures into even these lectures into further 5 different lectures, because I understand it's so overlapping that it can get complicated. Like, it can feel like a hodgepodge. I will try to maybe add further tasks with regards to this. But for now, the task that I will drop in the description, do that. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. Why is it also important to understand the difference between these 5 categories, 5 types of criticisms, or 5 different types of critiques, is because if or once you're able to understand that, it'll be easier for you to quote, cross-reference, as well as, of course, yourself be able to critically approach any idea the right way. And so, because right now, of course, we're in the broader category of being able to understand the Platonic dilemma, when you're platonically trying to critique a book, understand a book, understand a poem, anything, it's important to be clear of your role and your function. Whether you're trying to understand its purpose, whether you're trying to appreciate it, all of those things. If you like this video, don't forget to give me a thumbs up as well as subscribe to the YouTube channel. I know this is really confusing, and I apologize if like I'm not able to explain this in the most comprehensive ways, because I get that this is something that's technically not difficult to grasp but difficult to comprehend fully. That part, like, I get it. So yeah, just also press the bell icon, if you want to stay updated. I will try to do later on, once we're done with this overall series, I will come back to this, because your role as a reader is also really important. I get that, and that does kind of help you with your critical approach to literature, the Platonic dilemma, just being able to read a book to be able to understand it. So I'll come back to it, but for now, I hope what I've said makes sense. And the tasks that I add in the description, please do that. Yeah, for now, I guess that's about it. See you soon in another lecture.